Hello and welcome to the August edition of the Saltcorn office hours. We're doing these at a much slower pace because I've got two kids and they're out of school, they're on holidays, and I gotta go around and look after them. So we've just been to the north of England for a week. We were there the week before that, and next week, no, not next week. In a week, we're going to Germany and Poland for a couple of weeks. So development has just slowed down a little bit. And on top of that, I'm busy with a project it's a project we're building using Saltcorn and a lot of AI, a lot of large language model stuff. It's super exciting. I can't say anything about it. It's for a client, and it is not going to be released, but lots of improvements are happening because of this. So that's taking up a lot of my time, and but I will show some of the things that other people have been working on for the last couple of weeks. It just occurred to me that I can't see the chat window. So wait, let me see if I can figure out how to get the chat window. I think there was some way I could get it inside. No, I can't get it inside. Okay, let's get it here. Okay. Just bear with me for a second while I get my chat window up. I want to do... I switch between doing the broadcast in a window and doing it in a... in a full screen, and today I need to do it in full screen. It just throws me off a little bit because then I'm not able to have other windows on that screen, and so I just have a little bit less space. Sorry, I'm just gonna get this chat window and see if anyone is here, which you might not be. Let's see here. There we go. All right, somebody else is watching. All right, great. I've got the chat screen. Let me pop this out so if I can remember how to pop out live chat. If I can pop this out. Yes, okay, I've got my chat window and somebody's already said something. Great. Okay. Mike, good to see you again. Spam and season. I assume you're not spamming people all day long. Okay, we've got a question about that. Okay, so we've got two questions already. Mike, I have just replied to you on email. I did it because I knew I was going to feel guilty about not having to reply to your email. So there's a problem with that, and if we get bored, maybe I'll just talk about what that problem is. I have just replied, so Mike, please check your email inbox. I assume that got sent. Maybe I didn't hit the send button. Stuff happens. And then there's a question about geocoding map stuff. Great, we can definitely do something like that. Leadership would like to be able to show a map of people. Always dangerous when the leadership wants to see a map of people. You don't know what they're going to do to them. But yes, we can go through that as well. So let me quickly, I didn't know if anyone was going to ask questions. So I don't have so much to show, but I do have two things that are quite exciting that I want to show you. And so we can, maybe I'll just talk about what I wanted to talk about, and then we'll go to these two questions, one about geocoding, and if we have time, we'll just look at the search and create fields again that Mike is asking about. Right, okay, so two things I want to show you. One thing is, one of the big themes of the work that we've been doing here this summer is, sorry, I'm just trying to get my windows placed in the right place here. one of the things that, especially Christian has been working on, Christian Hugo, who's been working on this project for quite some time now, several years. One of the things that he spent a lot of time working on is real-time collaboration. We had this, first of all, we put some infrastructure in place. Then he did the Kanban board as the first demonstration of this infrastructure. Then we were going to look at there's always been like the kind of the use cases that we had in mind for the real-time collaboration. One of them was always that you could edit, and then two people could edit the same document and they could see it next to each other. So when one person edits, then the other person can see it live on their screen, and that is now working, and I'm going to show that. So that's something that Christian has been working on. I know it's not, it's released. You can. I'm not running on some. Well, I am running on unreleased, but I think it should work if you run it unreleased. But this feature is still under development. There's some questions about efficiency and what can be merged and merge conflicts that we are resolving. But there's, we want to do it in a better way so you get fewer conflicts. So there will be a little bit more work on this, but the basics are working. I just tried it, and it's great. You can type, and the other person can see it. So I'm going to show that now. So that's cool. I guess now I just enabled it, so I'll have to unenable it, and then I'll enable it again, so I can show you how to enable it. And then we will. I'll show you that. So that's like a big milestone of real-time collaboration. That you get real-time edits in your documents. The next thing that we actually want to do is to use the real-time collaboration in a more general way, where you can sort of just have actions that can make stuff happen on the user's screen. So you can have, like, if you're in a workflow and if you're in a piece of code, you can just say like, oh, this pop-up should come up, or this load, the user should go to this page. So you can just direct the user to somewhere. That will be very nice when that works. That again, that's not ready to show. I think there is a version, hasn't been merged yet, and we need to get the security right to make sure that there isn't a channel that everybody can connect to make sure that security is basically the main thing that's stopping us from releasing it, to make sure that the information only goes to the user that it's intended for. Very important. So that is sort of the next step of the real-time collaboration, and then the last step of real-time collaboration is there's some stuff we wanted to do with large language models, where you stream the response of a large language model to the user. That work hasn't even started yet, but hopefully it will happen at some point very soon. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So I am in a view. Okay, so let me just quickly disable everything. So I'll show you what you need to disable. So look away. And then I'll show you what needs to be disabled, enabled. It's interesting. This was meant to be off. Okay. Right, okay, so let's see. So I've got an edit form here. This is my table that I use for development. It's got lots of different fields, lots of different relationships. A lot of inbound keys here, and it's just a big mess, but I just use it for lots of different field types when I'm developing new features. And this is what I end up. I should have something that's a bit more clean to show you all. Anyways, it's a table of books. A book has an author, it has a number of pages, there's a boolean that says whether it's long. But then there's also some fields that are longer, so just so I can test real-time editors. And this is meant to be like the bio of the biography. I don't know if it's the biography of the author or sort of some sort of description of the book. So never really clear whether this table is about authors or books. But here we go. So here's Herman Melville wrote a very long book about whales. And here's his record. We have various categories. You probably saw that in the last, if you've been following the last office hours, we did this category with emojis. So now I don't even know whether this cats or dogs, what that means. He has a publisher. But then he has this bio, right? And now I can just type something. I don't know when Herman Melville was born. I guess he was born in New England somewhere. Maybe he's Canadian. I don't think he's Canadian. I think he's from like Boston, but I could be wrong. Anyways, that's just what we'll pretend. Okay, so great. I got this HTML field here. Okay, and do I have a save button? I have a save button here. Okay, so let's see it. Here, there we go. There's the bio field. Okay, all right. So now I want that to be real-time collaboration. So if I have two views of the same thing, if I have two views, so here, what I want to achieve is that as I'm typing this, I now have two open browser windows. They happen to be on the same computer, but let's just, you don't really want to see me, do you? Let's just see the screen. So here we go. We've got two browser windows. They happen to be on the same computer here because I can only broadcast from one computer. But they could be on two different computers. And they could also be two different users that are logged in. Right? So let's say that they are accessing the same document. So now I want, as I type here, I want this to appear here without pressing any other buttons. Just as I type, I want this to appear. Actually, it's not going to appear letter by letter, but what will happen is that as I click outside, we might want to fix that at some point, but as I click outside, it will update over here. That maybe we'll be able to do a little bit better and sort of update every sort of sentence or something like that. But so I'm going to show you now what you have to enable to do that. So you need to edit this edit view, and let's make this big again. So, okay, so two things. First of all, you need to enable autosave and real-time updates. And that actually applies to all fields, right? So maybe we should see that. So now let's go again. Let's go and edit Herman Melville. And let's give him a few more pages. I hope this works. I haven't tried this. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Why is this 1.0? That's bizarre. What is this area? Oh, that was the stuff we did before. Why is this 902 and 901? That's, oh, Firefox has some weird. Okay, let's see here. What did I do? Okay, why is this not? Okay, let's just autosave here. Firefox has some weirdness about forms. Okay, so that works now. And I guess this doesn't work for all fields. So maybe I only tested it for that. Okay, and it doesn't work for that field, but it should work here. Okay, so wait, let's see. So now I need to do one more step. So I need to real-time updates and autosave, and then I need to enable the real-time edit in that field. Let's make this big again. Real-time updates. Yeah, so this is my field. This only works with the rich text, the tiny MCE rich text editor, because that's the only one where the merging works. Hopefully, if there are any issues now, and if we, if we iron them out, then it may be working better in all the different editors as well in the text areas. But this is the one we've been focusing on. So you have this tiny MCE. This is a module. Right, so you need to install the module like through here, right? So there's a tiny MCE, and you need to install that. It needs to be a relatively recent version. And then you drag it in here. That's a field view, right? So I've dragged in the field is the HTML bio, and the field view is tiny MCE. You pick that, and then you have all these options for the rich text editor. But then you need to tick this box, merge real-time updates. All right, and then we should be good. Okay, so let's see if this works. And let's go here. So I've got that, and oops. Okay, so here we are looking at that, and this one probably wasn't. Why is this saved? Okay, wait. I know what we're gonna do. Let's go to a different. Let's talk about Leo Tolstoy instead. Firefox has this weirdness about forms that's pretty annoying. Okay, let's see if this works. All right, I hope it works. Leo Tolstoy was born in Russia. I know that for a fact. We had this before. All right, so things aren't fully there. So let's save this. Things aren't fully there. I thought they were. I thought I tested it before. But I guess it's possible there's also a Firefox issue. Okay, so this is embarrassing. That's not really working. The interesting thing is, before I actually had this, I noticed that this field was off. So let's try it without that. So see, I'm also a little bit weird. This is the Firefox weirdness about forms for sure. That you know you're reloading and then it's kind of coming up different forms. Okay, so something is happening. Okay, that's working, but it's not jumping to the end. I think this is not quite there, ready to, you know, use in production. Something is going on here. I thought I tried it, but it doesn't really work. So, okay, let's leave that. The idea is, you sort of saw it here, right? As I update it here, it does come up here. You see it comes up here, but then the cursor jumps. So I think, I think we need a little bit longer time to fix this, and possibly Firefox is not helping here either. But there's definitely progress being made, and we should have these real-time edits being available very soon and being finalized. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you that I've been working on recently is what we call deliberated forms. So if you are a Saltcorn user, let's go away from this, you will recognize this menu over here on the right. And this is kind of fixed, right? So you recognize these are the menus that we've created. These are for lists and pages, and you can do menus and stuff. Like, here's a menu. But here are the admins menu items. And these are they're fixed, right? You couldn't edit them until now. And that didn't necessarily matter so much because it's for the administrator, and your user doesn't see this, right? Your user doesn't see these three menus. They don't see this drop down. So it didn't really matter so much. What did matter maybe a little bit more was that this was also fixed, right? And everyone sees this, every user sees this, and you had no ability to customize this. So, maybe for your application, you don't want this settings form, right? Maybe you want just a logout here straight on the menu. And so this is what I refer to as liberating the menu, because there was an effort to, you can set the menu to whatever you want it to be. And this is not, I've done it. What you're seeing here now is actually a liberated menu. It's just exactly the same as what it was before. I've done it as a migration, so that means that when you upgrade to the next version of Saltcorn, you should see no change, right? So we've done it as we have this system of database migrations, and we can we use that typically to create new tables or create new fields on tables, but we can also use it to run code. And so what I've done is I've essentially stripped out these menus from the code, and I've inserted them in the menu form. So the menu form here now, next time when you upgrade, it will contain these items here, right? And you can now, we've had some debate. There was some discussion on GitHub issues about, how should these menus be grouped, right? Should it really be tables, views, and pages, and then settings? And look, I never, because it was for the administrator, I always try to focus on the end user and the person using your application rather than the person building. But, I can see if you wanted something different. So let's try and do it differently, right? So first of all, you have now these administrators items can be customized. So let's just see how some of those are defined. So you've got, you can see the drop down here. So you've got two new items here, admin page and user page. And then if you select admin page, you have to select which admin page. So you have these, tables, views, pages. They correspond to the big, entities that we have here on the right. And then these are what's under the settings menu. And then you also have this settings, which is what you get to if you press that. You don't see it that often, but now you can have a direct link to it. So now you can, we can essentially move these around. So, and I wanted to just show you here. So they each have an icon. They have a label. You can set it to whatever you want to. You can also set the role on this. This is an instance, I guess, in which I have these permissions. So you have these permissions here. Where are they set? Is it users and security? Yeah, you have these permissions here, right? So you have permissions to inspect and edit tables. So if these are, staff, then if one of these is staff, then in the migration, this will be, set to staff. But I don't know about, yeah. So I guess I have a lot of these at staff. But if you haven't set those permissions, this will just be like admin. And you also have, so you have the settings. This is a drop down, right? So actually what you're looking at here is that drop down that's defined here, right? So you see, and actually in one of the, I couldn't quite, for some reason we got, this spanner here has got a little, it's a different icon. I couldn't find the other one that I used. So you now got a little, sort of, I don't know what it's called. There's a little thing here at the end of the spanner on the other side. Maybe it's a different kind of spanner. So anyways, that icon looks slightly different. But so you can edit these now. You can set what roles. You can make them, do whatever you want. So let me just show you how you would rearrange. First, I'll just talk about these admin menus. So let's say instead we wanted, let me just make sure we're refreshed here. So let's do something where I want to rearrange that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do an entities and settings. So I'm gonna split this into two menus. So just maybe you want to do that because you save some space, or maybe because you think it makes more sense. So I'll create an header called entities. Now I have to pick an icon. I don't know what. That's probably not an entity. There's not an entity. What about a thing? No. Any suggestions from the audience? Okay, how do I have this croissant? I'm not sure. I don't think it's a real croissant, but it will do for now. Okay, so we have a header here, and that's going to be entities, so that will go down here, and I'll put that on top of settings. This is always so annoying. Okay, there we go. And we're going to put tables under that, and we're going to put views under that, and pages, And then I also want to move files are kind of entities, right? So we're going to move those to in here somewhere. There we go. And I'm going to put those at the bottom. Oops. Files. Okay. So then when you change the menu, you always have to reload the page. It doesn't update live. So now I've got two menus here. Entities and settings. So I don't know what people like. I mean, if some sort of consensus emerges, we might, switch that migration to contain that. So now we can experiment with what we want, right? So that's good. So we now have, a liberated menu. You can do whatever you want. And this is probably most important for the user, right? So here on the user, you now have that user menu you have here. And why is this now? This is blank. I don't know what. Oh, this was meant to be notifications. I don't know why this is blank. I need to check that. It's meant to say notifications, but it doesn't. But then you got the user settings here. And, if I don't want user settings, I just delete it. So now I don't have user settings. And I could put the logout, if I wanted to log out on the main menu, because now I don't have a user menu anymore. Okay, delete. Now I don't have a user menu. I just have a logout button, right? And okay, so these two I didn't talk about. So that was the user menu. You saw that was before we had a header with sub items. These sign up and logout, they are minimum role and maximum role are public, so you only see these two if you are not logged in. Whereas for the user, that logout, that was between user and admin, right? So, but here you don't see these as admin. Let me demonstrate. If we set this to admin, I'm an admin user now, right? Then we should now see this, right? So what did I do? Which one was it that I changed? That one. Maximum role admin. Yeah. And then which one was it that I set? Oh, that was the logout. Okay, it was sign up that I wanted to say. Admin update. I don't see that. Maybe there's some other logic that I need to remove. It's interesting. I don't see that. I don't see the sign up button. There must be some other logic that I didn't quite consider, Oh, wait. No. I got this wrong. I got the logic wrong. It's the maximum role. I get those wrong all the time. Okay, it's the maximum role that we want to be admin. Is that right? Yeah, so now I see the sign up. Okay, good. I feel better now. So you can play with this. So the minimum role is the role you must have, and the maximum role is the role after that it disappears. Okay, so you now have a fully liberated menu. One thing to say here, that ticket that discussed this had a very good suggestion, which was to be able to run pages. So actually put, for the ultimate flexibility, be able to put, a little page in here. I mean, it wouldn't look like a page, it would just show whatever you have in the page. And I think that's not going to work for now. Those of you who know JavaScript will know that, and many other programming languages will know that, we have code that is asynchronous, async await, and we have code that's not, that's just a function. And unfortunately, the code that generates this menu has to be synchronous, so you can't do await. And in order to run pages, we need to have that await. So that's a technical reason. I thought it was a very good idea, and I would like to do it. We might be able to do a more limited version of pages, but then I think there's just too many questions about, what exactly can you have. So I think I'd rather try to give more flexibility. I know a lot of people have talked about having formula, being able to use equations in here. I think we probably should do that. So we could start by having interpolations in the text label. That would be nice. And just like the same show if that we had, so you can basically, based on the user or what URL you're in, you can show things differently. That's something that people have requested quite a lot. And I think we're going to have to do that instead of doing the pages, unfortunately, for technical reasons, at least for now. Okay, look, that is all that I wanted to say, that I wanted to, show. This is my show and tell is now over. So let's look at some of these questions that have come in. And so Spam and Saison. It feels like this is some sort of movie reference or something like that, but it's okay. Let's look at geocoding and map stuff. So let's just do what you're asking for. You have a member directory for an organization, and you want to be able to see. Thank you, Herman. That's great. Thank you. So you want to be able to create a map. I have a feeling we did this. I also have a feeling that something didn't quite work, but maybe I think I fixed something. So maybe it didn't work before. So let's see. Do I have? Okay. First thing, you gotta have the module. Oh no, now I've been messing up with my menu. I don't know where to find it. Oh, okay, at least let me get rid of this sign up. I don't want that. Okay. Now I have a logout. I don't have a user settings page now, but I guess that's okay. I don't really need it. Okay, so let's see. What do we need? Okay, first you need a module. If you want to do geocoding and maps, you got to have a module. Should we start with maps? Because maps are like a very common thing. Geocoding is a little bit harder, and some of it is only a function, so you have to write code, I think. And I can't remember how to do it either anymore. Maybe we can load up, if we finish the map stuff, and if there aren't any other questions. Spam is cheap lunch meat in America, and Saison is Spanish seasoning. Great. Yeah, I remember Spam is nice. It's underrated here. Right, okay, let's see. Okay, so let's do the map first, because I remember how to do it. So you gotta have the module. The module, we can just search for map here. The map module is already installed. It's not a local version, so what I'll be able to show you is what you will get. Right, so we have the module installed. If you don't have it, just install this one called leaflet map. Just press this install button. I have it like this because I play around with local modules, but you'll see it slightly different. You'll see it like this, just installed. Oh, by the way, I equalized these button sizes. I've done a lot of. It's not like I haven't been doing any work. I actually closed a lot of bugs, and we've been working on a lot of bugs, and just small issues that I didn't really want to talk about here. But one of them was to make these two buttons the same size, or the same height at least. And also that has an implication. Fortunately, it's not just about the module store. It also has some implication for some apps. So I think this code is going to be in the next. It's merged already in GitHub, but it will be in the next release. So there are some places in the app under certain very specific conditions you can get a missized buttons where you have two buttons next to each other and they don't quite look like the same. It's quite hard to get to that, but when it happens, and it's annoying, and it kind of looks cheap, right? It looks like a poorly designed app, something thrown together in a hurry. And so I fixed that. So it's like when you have icons when you have buttons that only have icons, then when you had view links and you had actions next to each other, they would be slightly different sizes. But that's fixed, or will be in the next release. Okay, back to our regular program of announcements. Okay, so now in the views, let's see if I have any maps already. Okay, so I actually already have a map, and I seem to have a table as well. So, you know what, I might just sort of talk about it. Okay, so let's see. So in order to have a map, you need a table, all right? And that table needs a couple of fields. It needs 2 floating point fields, latitude and longitude. Those are, let's look at the data. These are sort of, they're the degrees, right, of latitude and longitude that you may remember. And this is all very simple. Like, if you know all this stuff about WSG 84 and something like that, you're probably in the wrong place. This is like super simple. It's just the latitude and longitude that, Google Maps tells you or whatever. And then you need some other information. So the module is the map module is quite flexible. You can have like pop-ups and you can have stuff inside that pop-up. I think I showed that before, but let's just go through it again. But at minimum, you need some table, you need a latitude and a longitude field, and you need some other information, right? So you don't actually need any other information, but you may want to associate some information with that coordinate point. So these are the fields that we have. Okay, and then you need to create a map. I have one here already. Let's see if it works. Yes, I have points on my map. Okay, this is what the map looks like. But we can do stuff, right? So here it looks like right, I see. Okay, so what is this? Okay, this is between Braintree and Haverhill. It looks like I just don't have a label here, so I didn't know what to put here, but we will put okay, so this is what it looks like. I'll talk in a second about why this is. By the way, this is not the Saltcorn headquarters. I kind of wish. It's a nice area. Rye is very nice. All of this stuff. Nice area to live in, but unfortunately live somewhere in London. But I just put it there to put whole numbers. Anyways, this is what the map looks like, and it shows. The important point is, the map shows as markers the points that you have in your database. So let's talk about how the map is configured. So you have the table, you have these fields, and then you just need to create a view pattern. Should we create a new one? Okay, let's create a new one. Okay, so you need to pick the view pattern here, leaflet map. Do this leaflet map. This multi-table is kind of on its way out because it's more easily done. More easily done inside. Now I've lost it. I want to change this to one of these drop downs you can type in. Where was it? There we go. Okay, so you want, yeah, that's all good. Okay, so here's the configuration. Okay, so you need, if you don't have any pop-up view, then you won't get a pop-up. Latitude field, you just pick the field. Icon field, yeah, you can't pick anything, but if you had files, then you could actually have a custom icon, apparently. Something tells me that that wasn't quite working. There was some bug report about it. You set the size. This doesn't look like... Oh, that's the pop-up width. The height you want to set. The width is always full width. I'm sitting here and gesticulating. I'll keep it on the screen. Sorry. But you need to set the height. So, you get the preview down here if you set this to like 600. It's not responsive in any way. So now we've got a bigger map here, right? We've got a taller map. So let's just keep it at 400. So I'm on this small screen anyways. So, and the pop-up is... Yeah, so this is where you can join different maps. So I'm going to skip that. The idea is you can have different maps on different tables, and then you can sort of bring them together in more than one map, which is nice. If you have data from different tables and you want to display them on one map. Okay, so now here we have our map, right? So it shows, and I do do actually get a pop-up still. That should probably be disabled because I didn't pick a pop-up. I guess when I built this, we assumed that you would have a pop-up. Anyways, so you pick a view, which is the view that will be shown inside the pop-up. And that is, you know, this is something we do a lot in Saltcorn, right? That views are inside views. So let's look at that one. Show location. That's super simple. It just has the field. And then, oops, that wasn't the one we were working on. Here now we've got, when I click it, I now get, you know, that label. But that's, now I have a feeling that there's some limitations here. Oops, let's get to that view. I don't think you can just put anything inside this, but you can definitely change things here, right? So you can say name. Okay, you can say that, but you can do more than that. You can do, I don't have so much information and I don't have that many fields, but, oh, I want to show the ID. I can't quite remember what the limitations are on this view. They may actually be, maybe quite flexible. I'm not sure. Maybe we can experiment with this. So you see now here how I've created that pop-up as a view, and that's a view of that row. So now I can put stuff. I can't remember if I can. Should we? Let's try different things here. What could we do here that could be fun? Herman, thanks for asking a question. Okay, maybe I'll get back to you. So look, you can experiment yourselves on what we can do here. Okay, let's just quickly see. Can I actually put an action in here? Can I put a delete action? That sounds scary. Let's try something else instead. Let's try toast. I can't remember if this is possible. Like, can you put... Oh, this is another improvement, by the way, that one of these small things that I wasn't going to mention is this is now type ahead, which is great. Yeah. Never mind. And let's see the map. And now in theory I should have a button. Wow, that works. I'm surprised. Okay, so you can actually have a button inside the pop-up. Cool. Nice. I'm surprised that it works. Okay, all right, great. So you can experiment with, it's possible it's quite flexible and you can actually put anything you want to inside that pop-up. I guess you can put actions, and so that means, I guess you can put images. So I guess you should be able to do columns. I don't know, maybe you can do columns. So play with it and see, you know, as you're building that. And that should be, so spam and saison, that, you know, should be, if you have, so basically what you do for your table here is, you know, you'd have a table for users, but then you would have, you know, the latitude and longitude fields for those users, and you would show them in a map. And then you can show some information about that user on the map on the pop-up. Okay, great. So let's see here. Questions. There's an option to make a trigger and only run it if X. Should this be working already? Yes, that was just a very recent improvement. It should be merged. So a lot. Okay, so sometimes that makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. So let's see. So that whether you get that depends on what this when value is. So when you have a trigger and when is set to insert, you should get it. So do the edit only if here. So now you can say it's an insert. So now you have the row. I don't know what this table is, what the fields are here, but the idea, if it has a field that's called X, then you can say X greater than 5, which probably have a little bit more help here so you can see what tables, but yes, you can have an only if. That we did that on the types of events where that makes sense. So for instance, it's not on API call because it's like you get an inbound API call. It's like directed at that trigger that didn't feel like it made a lot of sense. You get on all the table events, insert, update, delete, I guess those are our table events. I feel like there's another one, validate. Let's see, what else do we get? We got it on a couple of other ones. Login and page load. That kind of made sense to put them there. So if you get you can now run a script if somebody logs in, and then that will only run, you can set it only for certain roles or only in certain fields that are tied to that user. And page load, again, just page load is typically used for analytics, logging, and you may just only want to log certain rows. So yes, that should be working. Herman, it sounds like you're asking because is it possible something wasn't working? If something isn't working, it should be working. If something isn't working, or if it isn't intuitive, or if there's anything we can do, just file a ticket or send me an email. On many other actions used to have this inside, and they still do. They haven't gone away. So for instance, send email. Send email had it inside, right? So this action here had only if inside, as part of the action configuration. So I guess actually now you get it twice, but it just felt like then I felt like we were starting to add this everywhere, and that sort of felt that meant we probably literally had to add it everywhere, which we did, right? So if you've got something linked to a button, it doesn't have that. If you have a never action, it doesn't have that, and it also doesn't have it for the timer-based events. Like often we could do it there, but there's no row as such, so we don't really know what to run it as. Anyways, okay, so just file some sort of issue if that doesn't work as expected. I've got weirdness here. Okay, there was another question. The part I'm having problem with is I have fields for the address. Yeah. Okay. So I was hoping not to have to do the geocoding. But since no one else has asked a question, let's try and get the geocoding to work. I can't, to be honest, I haven't done this for a long time. So let's just try and see. I'm just going to point you in the right direction. This was almost like, please someone ask another question so I don't have to do the geocoding, but it looks like I have to. Okay, so let's see here. There is something about geo. Let's see here. Geo search, so we had 2. That doesn't really help. Okay, so there's geo search. I may actually even have to... Let's look at the documentation, see what that does. Okay, so that's just 2 functions. Okay, so you basically have a table which has a field for address. So let's try and do this. So I guess 2 functions, you can read this, right? Geocode that. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Okay, there's even an example here. So let's do it. So this is not installed. Let's install it. It's possible also I'll figure out that something isn't working, but let's try this. So let's go to locations. So now I'm all lost because I've rearranged the menu. Let's go to locations. Okay. And we're going to add an address. I'm just going to keep this vague. It's just a string. And we're going to actually delete these latitude and longitude fields. and we're going to say what that documentation said to do. Latitude, it's already latitude. So that is a float, but it is calculated and it has to be stored, as it says. These have to be stored. Okay. So it said it can be as vague as Q address. So I guess okay, let's try. I think this will work a little bit better, but postcode. No, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. And we want the longitude. And this is calculated and stored. Okay, so we have these as two fields. Now I want to just enter something. Let's try and see what happens. Also just want to get my terminal up here. Yeah, that's fine. Let's type this. So let's call it, let's say 100 Pall Mall London. Let's see what happens. No, that doesn't work. Okay, let's try something that I think works. So I used to live near here, and I think this is right. MG9. Oops. No, that doesn't work. Okay, so let's try the postcode. That, I guess, is something that I tried before. So it sounds like you have to be a little bit more, either you have to be a little bit more specific, or it's possible this service isn't working anymore as well. It's possible they now ask for like some sort of token. What was that? That was the latitude. Okay. And let's do the postcode. Okay, let's just see, is this right? Okay, that looks good. Let's try before some stuff that. Okay, no, I guess this service isn't either. Look, different possibilities here, but this isn't working. It's possible this geocoding service isn't working anymore. It's possible something is just broken in the good old-fashioned sense. Or possibly it's not, you know, replying to that. So on that server for whatever reason. So I guess I'll have to have a look at that and try and fix this library. I think I did see before that there was an issue with this, but yeah. I mean, the other thing you can do if you need that data, like use an external service, right? Use use some other way of getting the latitude and longitude if you want to do that. So if you wanted to, like, what you do is basically create an update trigger. You have to do it code. I don't have any other way of doing that. And now here you can call it geocoding service, right? That's the best thing I can think about right now, because the one that we used before doesn't really look like it's working anymore. Okay, great. Thank you. I think we've come up to an hour now. And Mike, I hope you're happy with that. I'll see what I can do about there was a specific issue here where you were just expecting a little bit too much of that implementation, where it's not really responding to the live form state. So just have a look at what I said. Maybe for other people's curiosity, I'll try to reply on the Discord, and then we can see what works for us, and I can see if I can make it live. Okay, great. Thanks. Have a good weekend, everyone, and thanks for showing up. It's, as always, been a pleasure to host you.